So talk about your what are you? Are you the PRO?
Well, yes, I am the public relations officer of the United Progressive Party. That is the newest party in Dominica, but for sure it is not by no means a list of making an impact. And so that party was birthed about 3 years ago in Dominica. We saw the need then for a new political movement in Dominica, hence the party called the United Progressive Party.
Right. So you also declared your candidacy for, I think, is the Maho constituency.
No, that is not correct. What I'm doing in the Mao constituency, it is to, I am basically on the party. We are going around the length and breadth of the country. The Mao
Hmm.
constituency is no different. And so we are introducing ourselves, getting acquainted with the people, getting acquainted with what is happening on the ground in real time, as it were, hearing from the people, hearing the people's needs, so that at the end of that exercise, if it is the people's desire, then they will give slash the United Progressive light
Of course, I'm going to
that
ask
has
you.
not been done as yet.
Let's try an experiment. If you were to turn off your video, um, let's see if the audio would quality would increase. Um, let's try that and see, and then we can always try turning the camera again. We'll try it for a few minutes and see if we get an improvement in the audio. Or if not, then you come back on camera and we just have to deal with the technical challenge. So let's talk about United Progressive Party. Loftus, I know you've been involved in community activity and political advocacy for years. And everybody has been, not everybody, but a lot of folks have been encouraging you to throw your hat in the ring. What about the United Progressive Party that finally got you to decide that you were going to associate yourself with a particular party? Tell us about the United Progressive Party, your visions, your policies, and so on that attracted you to that.
All right. Just to answer your question, Brother Trigo, it is no new news in Dominica. It is nothing strange that Loftus Dura has always been aligned with the struggling people of Dominica. Loftus Dura has always been on the front line with the needs of Dominicans, especially where justice, human rights, free and fair elections. A lot of persons who knew me back then and who still know me now, they know that where the government is concerned, the Dominican Labour Party is concerned, based on their policies, based on how they're governing the country, I have not warmed up to that, and I do think I'll never warm up to that. So I've always been one to speak for and on behalf, as I said before, of the plight of the Dominican people, especially those who are suffering as a result of the malgovernance, of the malpractices of the Dominican Labour Party. A lot of people will know me as well for aligning myself before that is more closely knitted with the United Workers' Party. Matter of fact, I used to be at the meetings, just be at functions where United Workers' Party used to basically give out information to the Dominican people. It took me some time to do what I did back then in terms of still being part of the opposition force in Dominica, but moving slightly to the right, if you'd say, politically speaking, to another movement, another political party, as we alluded to earlier, in the name of the United Progressive Party. The reason for moving, or the reasons rather for moving, they are numerous, but just to mention one or two is that what I saw was happening back then in the UWP as some of the practices based on the utterances of some of the people in UWP back then, the practices and the utterances, they were not really and truly lining up. And so I made a very tough decision, I must say, to sort of move away from that. A matter of fact, I made a statement in Dominic maybe about 2 years ago, re exactly the point I'm making now, where I said that in terms of the opposition forces in Dominica, based on what I was experiencing at the time, based on what I was seeing unfolding, where not the government, which I always have issue with, but the opposition in which I was aligning myself to back then. I said in a nutshell that to me, it is better the devil you know than the angel you don't know. And I was really speaking of things to come. And if any Dominican taking in the political landscape of late, they will agree with a great level of certainty that my words back then will be unfolding today. I know when you're speaking about religious matters, political matters, or matters that are very sensitive in nature, a lot of persons are very thin skinned. But the person that I am, I call a spade, no matter who it affects, no matter where the chips have to fall, it will fall. I speak my mind. And it was a very tough decision, as I said, to move away from what I once perceived to be the way that Dominican should go in terms of a better option as it pertains to governing the country. And hence, I am here today, as I said, still with the opposition forces, but sort of moved a little right to this new party now called the United Progressive Party, where I believe things are much more quote unquote above board in terms of the utterances that are backed up with the practices as it relates to the democratic happenings that a lot of political parties, especially in opposition, like to pride themselves on.
Right. Okay. So I didn't realize that you were actually, well, I mean, I know you were like with concerned citizens and some of the other social pressure groups, civic vibes, and so on. And so, because of a lot of intersection of interests, automatically you would be involved with the United Workers' Party. But I did not realize that you were formally part of the party. So thank you for clarifying that, and
Well, well, uh,
also.
well,
Mhm.
again, Drago, not I don't want to be misquoted. I was not formally part of United Workers Party.
Oh, you were not.
I
Okay.
was a I was a constant follower. I love some of the policies. I love some of the principles by which the Constitution speaks to. But what I said, and I will reiterate, is that some of what I saw unfolded back then, in terms of the utterances by some people, they were not matching up with the actions on the ground. And so that is why I made that very, soul searching move to
So
sort of
are
move
you a
away a bit
founding
from
member?
the United Workers Party.
Are you a founding member of the UPP?
Of yes, I am.
Okay. So in other words, you did not you found a misalignment between your personal convictions and what was there, and you decided that maybe there's a need for something new, something fresh, and you teamed up with the political leader of the party, Mr. Joshua Francis Negus, and others, and decided to create United Progressive Party. So let's talk about some of the principles, the philosophies, the propositions of the UPP that you are hoping will find resonance with the Dominican public that will gather support from them for the United Progressive Party.
All right. First and foremost, in terms of the
Loftus,
part of
I
the
think you can turn on your
constitution by
camera
which the
because it didn't
United
make much of a
Progressive
difference. Yeah.
that's better.
Yes. I'm saying it didn't make
All
a
right.
difference, so
I was saying in
we may
terms
as well
of
see
the
you.
in terms. Okay, that's farewell. I was saying in terms of the constitution by which the United Progressive Party operates by, the first sections of that constitution deals with the supremacy of God, just like if we take a page from our Dominica's constitution,
Hmm.
whereby we acknowledge the the supremacy of God within the party structure. We acknowledge that it is because of Him we have our being and we can do all things through Him. So basically, we want to start. We want to start right there at the starting point, as it were. From there, we flow now into the people, attending to the people in terms of the people's needs, what we see, and how that organization called the United Progressive Party will be of benefit to the Dominican of in Dominica, out of Dominica, and so manage country's affairs.
Okay, so supremacy of God, attending to the people's needs. What is the vision of United People's Party? In other words, if United, what would be the aspiration of United People's Party? Say, take us 10 years in the future. Where would Dominica be? What kind of life Dominicans would be in the vision of the leadership of the United Progressive Party?
Mr. Drago, I must tell you that the reception
Maybe it was a
is
mistake making you turn back on your video because it's a lot worse now.
very, very poor. I really don't the
So, folks, you see what's going on is that Loftus is in Dominica, and it seems like his internet connection is proving to be challenging. Um, so, Loftus, maybe if you're hearing me, you can turn off the camera again because we were hearing you better. It wasn't perfect, but we were hearing you better now that before I made you turn it back on. Can you hear me at all? Okay, so let's go. Let's take our commercial break, and when we'll try to see if maybe we'll have Loftus drop off and reconnect, and see if we get a better connection. So tonight I'm talking to Mr. Loftus Duran, the Public Relations Officer of the United Progressive Party of Dominica. We're talking about the UPP's vision, his personal convictions, and what the vision that they have for Dominica in the future. Let's take a quick break, see if we can get an improvement on the quality. Maybe some can ask him to drop off and to re sign up and see. And stay with us through the break as we get a word from our sponsors. So is it my internet, Sam? Oh, okay.
Presented by People say I've got a great smile. Well, I have to say, this is all thanks to the professional team at Beacon Dental Group right here in Dorchester, Massachusetts. I've got world-class dental care. Beacon Dental Group has expert and caring staff dedicated to providing the most advanced and satisfactory treatment in all aspects of oral health. Their services are designed to meet your needs and give you a perfect smile, too. General checkups, cosmetic surgery, Gemini laser service, and advanced procedures, all in a state-of-the-art facility. Call or visit Beacon Dental Group today, 1026 Blue Hill Avenue, Dorchester, Massachusetts, or call 617-282-2146 for a smile that lights the world.
Looking to Looking to promote your business, engage current customers, and reach new people? Well, look no further. From the basic presentation to a fully fledged advertisement, use your video ads to attract customers. At Man's Audiovisual Productions, we do just that. We produce videos for business and event promotions, product demo videos, animated explainer videos, fundraiser ads, and much, much more. Engage your clients and sell online. We customize the video to match your brand design. Guaranteed to play flawless on all devices, including smart TVs. Contact us at telephone number 203-690-4342 or 767-245-6238. Visit our website, mansaudiovisual.com, or email us at derekvideo@gmail.com.
All right, so welcome back, folks. This week in interview, my guest tonight is Mr. Loftus Duran, the Public Relations Officer of the United Progressive Party of Dominica. We're having a little bit of challenge in terms of the connectivity that we're having, and so there's a big delay. There's a big delay in um, when I ask him the question to when he hears it and he responds, and then his response is a little bit choppy. So we're working through that, but nonetheless, we're going to try to get we're trying to get the interview completed. Also, Mr. Davidson Timothy is supposed to be joining us again, another member of the United Progressive Party. It looks like he's also struggling to make connections. So tonight we're making heavy weather of this week in interview. As we said at the start of the program, the month of June is Men's Health Month. So make sure in the month of June, and if you don't get an appointment, but at least you make the appointment to go see your doctor, get a prostate check, get a colonoscopy, get an endoscopy. Uh, if you if you're not a physically active person, try to incorporate some movement, some exercise into your routine, because as we say normally on this weekend interview, I don't just want you to be the best informed audience. I want you to also be the healthiest that you can be. If you are facing health challenges, I hope that you get a relief and that you see some improvement. We haven't had a health program on for a while, so I look to do that in the month of July to bring someone on that can talk to us about nutrition and physical activity and sleep and just general wellness. Bien et. We'll try to bring that going. So tonight we're talking to Mr. Loftus Duran, the PRO of the United Progressive Party, and he was explaining that uh, he a few years ago he made the decision. He made the decision to that he could not find uh, an alignment the with, with the existing major parties that were involved in the opposition side. And so he and Joshua Francis and a few other people came together and decided that there was room and there was need for a new political party. And so they formed United Progressive Party. I'm just getting word from Loftus that he wants to reschedule. And I understand that because we want to get the message across really clearly, and his internet connection was being very challenging, and so he's not going to come back, and we'll reschedule because the interview was turned out to be very interesting. I see my big brother Duke is on tonight. Good night, my brother. Hope everything is good with you and the family in Anguilla. Long time. We're going to reach out. I'm supposed to be on the road tomorrow. So while in transit, I might give you a call so we get a chance to talk. Everybody else who's listening, I hope that you are also having a great night. But if you are tuned to the political happenings in Dominica, I want you to make in the comments, comment on what you think is going on, what you think of what is going on. For example, in the Roseau North constituency, the incumbent uh, candidate, Miss Miriam Blanchard, turned in her resignation to the Speaker of the House, so she's no longer a parliamentarian, and so I think that would trigger a by-election in Dominica. It's going to be a little bit of a complication, I think, because i- i- the country is in the middle of what is supposed to be an upgrading, a cleaning up of the voters list, and it's being done in the form of a reconfirmation. And that has not been going very well. If you look at the numbers, I don't have the current numbers, but they are 6 months into this program that's supposed to come to an end in October. And the numbers of persons who have made it onto the reconfirmed list has been very anemic, very, very anemic. And so, if we have a by-election in the Rules of North constituency, what list are they going to use? I understand that with the act that was passed in Parliament, under which the reconfirmation is happening, it allows for the use of the list that was used in the last election to be used, a list that has engendered so much controversy and so much angst because there was such a need for the upgrading of the list. So, what do you think about a by-election being called in the Roseau North constituency using the same list that has caused so much problem and so much trouble? Do you and do you think that the government and the electoral commission could have done a much better job? I mean, if Dominica really has 60,000 people, statistically, the voters list should not be more than about 40,000. If you take into account the folks who are less than 18 years old and therefore not qualified to vote. And also take into account that everybody who is qualified to vote doesn't register to vote. So how is it that the Electoral Commission and the people who govern Dominica are finding it so difficult to do a registration of only 40,000 people in 2026 when we have all access to computers and different equipment and data management that should make this a piece of cake. We know that places like Anguilla, who have Antigua, I should say, who have has probably twice the population of Dominica, was able to do their voters list revamping, I think, in 90 days. So what's happening in Dominica? What, why can't we do better? That we have village council elections that are running on a list that everybody agrees is a problem, and now there's a potential of a by-election that is going to raise that situation. What list do we use in the Roosevelt constituency? If you've been following as well, we know that a young lady has been chosen by the incumbent Labour Party to represent them in in the by-election. Um, I She is was her name is Ashma. She's the daughter of Venus, that businesswoman in Dominica. Venus. She had a guest house up in Pocasset. McDougall. McDougall is her last name. She has been declared as a candidate for the Labour Party in that upcoming by-election. United Workers' Party, the main opposition party, has not as yet formally announced a candidate. We understand that the long-time PAL rep, Mr. Danny Lugay, who had won multiple elections in that constituency, remembering that in the last election, United Workers' Party did not contest, and therefore that gave the Labour Party the opportunity to take that seat. He, I understand, has withdrawn from active politics, frontline politics, and there are new names of potential candidates that might step up and be the candidate for the United Workers' Party. I say main opposition, but they have nobody in parliament. But I believe, as the last party who received thousands of votes, other than the Labour Party, they're still considered as the major opposition party. I know some people might take umbrage with me for saying that, but they really are. And so we wait to see who which candidate that will vie for the Nurozo North seat, if indeed it's a fact that Danny Luge has decided that he would not participate as a candidate in that constituency. And with the Labour Party having had a candidate in that constituency since the last election, although Ms. Blanchard, I understand, have had medical challenges, and so she's not really been physically present to represent her constituency. But has Labour, do you think the Labour Party has sufficiently ingrained themselves, established a stronghold, a foothold in the Roseau North constituency, that in the by-election, the Dominica Labour Party might be successful in retaining that seat? It's very, very interesting development there. And of course, we know that the United Workers' Party also seem to be battling internally. The, the current leader, Mr. Dr. Thompson Fontaine, seems to be facing some challenging in establishing, putting his stamp on the party. Uh, and so we look to see how he navigates himself, because that is going to give us a good indication of the type of leader that he is politically. We know that he is a renowned economist, He seems to have some journalistic skills, especially like when storms are coming on. He's usually the one giving very good information about what to expect in terms of the storms and warning people, folks, and so on. He is an author, a great book, The Maroons of Dominica, a really, really in-depth research and a wonderful work documenting the resistance of the Negmawan movement in Dominica. So he's accomplished and have asserted his prowess in many areas. And so we look to see how he is able to navigate the current turbulent weather and conditions that seem to exist with the party right now, and how he reassures the supporters of the party that he has it under control. And let's see how he and his party, the United Workers Party, emerges out of that, which would give an indication of the type of leader that he is, and that would either endear him to the supporters, and it has the potential of lifting him up as a great leader, political leader of the party, or it could be that it turns out that he gets flustered, or the challenges and it ends up making him look lackluster. So we look forward to see how that navigation happens, and that will give a strong indication of the type of prime minister that he would be if his party were able to be successful at an upcoming election and to unseat the current Labour Party government. We, as a leader coming in from years of really dominant leadership by Lennox Linton, he always, as a new leader, would have had to come in and to establish himself as the authority, the leadership of the party. And we see a lot of maybe not challenges, but yeah, if you think of it like a relay race, sometimes the baton gets passed cleanly, and sometimes the baton doesn't get passed cleanly. Sometimes I've seen places where the person who's trying to hand off the baton has to hold the hand of the person that they're passing it to and place it in their hand, and so that they can run off with it. I've also seen where they failed and the baton has been dropped. Or sometimes it takes so long that they go outside of the zone in which the baton has to be handed off, and they end up being disqualified. And so we look to see how that transition has been going on for a while now. I think this is Dr. Fontaine has won the vote to be leader of his party at least twice, maybe three times, because I know there were a couple times when he was challenged, but he came out victorious as the selection of the delegates to lead the party. But somehow there still seems to be that the baton has not come cleanly been in his grasp that he could run off with it. So, for example, we saw the contest in the Marigot constituency where there were two strong candidates for to be the candidate for that constituency, and from what you observe, excuse me, from my observation point is that one side resented or rejected that the party leader should have influence on who is his candidate. I don't I mean, can you envisage a scenario where the leader of a party is expected to just stay out of the selection of a candidate that is going to run with him or her on a ticket? I don't think that is a reasonable thing to expect, because if you are captain of a team, you might not be the person, you're not one of the selectors, but you expect some consultation some input in who's going to be on that team. And it seems like in some cases, that authority of the party leader is being challenged. It's not that the leader is supposed to be the one selecting the candidate, as seems to happen with the Labour Party, but it should be that the leaders op, op, um, he has to give justifiable reasons, but he should have a say, not just the constituency imposing someone. It has to be some give and take. And Mr. Delbert Paris emerged as the candidate for the Marigot constituency, which can augur well, yes or no. But we saw um, that we know that he is in Parliament as a senator, not necessarily representing the United Workers' Party, but when he was appointed as senator, he was the deputy leader of the United Workers' Party, and his position on certain things seems to be divergent from the position of the leader, so much so that he subsequently relinquished this position as deputy leader of the party, and so and at the time it was said that the reason that he gave was that he found it difficult to work with the leadership under Dr. Fontaine in the party, and so has that changed? Have they sat down and they've reconciled the differences? Is Mr. Paris willing to be a team player, or is he going to be a rogue member of of the party? So, for example, if you were to imagine, let us say that the United Workers Party or a group of opposition people were to become were able to unseat the Labour Party in the next election and form the government. And let us say, which if that were to happen, it would not be a landslide like it could be by one seat. And so someone like Mr. Paris would have total control of the situation because there's always that threat hanging that that he could um, move away from the party's position whenever he feels like it. That is my impression from observing what has happened in the few last couple of years or months or whatever since he's been in parliament. Folks might say he's not representing the United Workers' Party in Parliament, but he's a prominent member of the party, and so you would expect more of an alignment of the with what he does and says in Parliament with the official position of the party. And you would expect more of that. And me as a person thinks that that has not happened, and so it could turn into a fiasco for Dr. Fontaine if as he would move forward with that team. Uh, I hope that talks and negotiations are happening behind the scenes that would clarify all of those positions, and commitments would be made to let everybody, all voices contend, but as much as possible to present the position of the party in the affairs of government, whether in government or in opposition, and so on, but and not look like it's variant and therefore hinder the chances of the party at being successful at the next election or the election after that. So Dr. Fontaine has his work very much cut out for him as he navigates the next few weeks, I would say, not even months, few weeks of to whether he can really wrestle control of the United Workers' Party and make it his own. I look forward. I look forward to seeing um, his skill at that. He's had experience in South Sudan, brokering peace deals and helping with the economic recovery of that place, South Sudan, and with the war that broke out. and the violence between Sudan and South Sudan. And so we would think that he has picked up some skills in navigating difficult negotiations and making compromises and convincing folks to come along with positions that may not have been their first choice. And so, Dr. Fontaine, all eyes and ears are on you. This is your moment to grasp it with two hands and demonstrate your political prowess and leadership, and to make sure that the baton is not dropped. It's not that you will always have these distractors. You will never be in a position where you get 100% support from 100% of the people 100% of the time. But at the same time, folks have to realize that you have the leadership at the moment, and therefore you have being the leader, you have a certain privilege to a big say in setting the tone and the direction for the party. Because I remember when Mr. Linton was leader of the party, uh, it seems as though challenges to his leadership were dealt with, um, how do you say it, with no hesitation, right? And anybody, and most of the people who showed up to challenge at the conference, delegate conference for leadership, you did not hear much of them in party business after that. That's my impression. And so I'm not a member of the party, so I don't know what the machinations were within the party. But what I'm saying is that challenges were made and challenges were dealt with, and it it came out of the challenge without a doubt who was the leader and what was the direction and the philosophy of the leader and the stamp of the leader on the party after those challenges. And so a precedence has already been set. And so it shouldn't be expected to be different with the new leader. When there are challenges and it's dealt with, then folks should fall in line after that, because the challenges were dealt with according to the procedures of the party. After that, folks should call and support the leader until the next time that there's the opportunity to raise a challenge. And so we look forward to that same privilege being given to the new leader of the party. But I don't know if it has to be given to him or if he has to wrestle it. But either way, we look to it. Interesting times politically in Dominica, because the incumbent party has acknowledged multiple occasions that the performance of the government in terms of governing Dominica has not been where it should be. It has fallen short of what it should be. And why do I say that? Because we've gone into multiple elections where the party leader of the Labour Party has wholesale replaced so many representatives and brought in new blood. So not because they were of retirement age, not because they were moving on, because he turned around then and made them senators on many occasions, but the fact that he was replacing them in as front runners of political parties and representatives indicate that there was shortcomings in the results that was being achieved, and therefore he had to reshuffle the government. He had to replace folks. The only person who has not been replaced, I think, is the prime minister himself. I I may be wrong, but I don't know if there are any people existing now, any parliamentarians existing now, who existed with the prime minister from the time he entered government 26 years ago, who was still active. I think everybody has been shaken up and taken out. And so, you know, uh, And if we still are falling short, the last person to be replaced would be the prime minister himself. And so, you know, when a government acknowledges that they've not performed to the level, the standard that they're supposed to, and you've done internal reshuffle on multiple occasions, I think it's probably time to, I don't think, I know it's time to try a new team. And it's almost like when you're farming, if you separate your farm into multiple plots. Sometimes one plot has been worked so much that the yield starts to diminish. You let that plot go into fallow, as they say. Leave it untouched, let the grass grow. You put livestock in there so that soil can regenerate and reinvigorate, and you let it lie for a couple of years, and then you come back to it and find out that it is ready and for recultivation. And so the same sort of thing I should apply, that if this government has been in power for so long, the Labour Party, and the results are not what they expected, they're falling short. Probably it's time to remove them from the helm, let them go far and follow and re-energize themselves and come up with new thinking and new strategy. Let them work out their own leadership issues that they may have. When I say leadership issues, for 26 years they've had one leader. Is that good? Is that bad? I know for Dominica it has not been good. Has it been good for the party? Has it been good for everybody in the party? Has it been good for all the supporters in the party? Has it been good for all Dominicans? I am sure all of those answers are no. So let the party come out of office, go sort all this out, come back refreshed, and in the meantime, a new team would come in and try to shake things up and air it out and get a new reset of the country so that we can get better outcomes in health, better outcomes in education, better outcomes in our culture, better outcomes with reduced crime, better outcomes in terms of use of drugs, illicit drugs, better outcomes in terms of just the whole general well-being of the country, better outcomes in sports and fishing and agriculture and the whole economy. There's so many areas that we need better outcomes, better and improved results, right? And so that is my take. That one, we look to see who the United Workers' Party is going to field as a candidate for the by-election in Roseau North, or would the Prime Minister, as you say, Dominic, compare lapin or compare tigre, if he would probably just call a general election. While people are thinking that it's going to be a by-election, it comes out as a general election. And as he said the last time, catching people with their pants down, we know that's one of the flaws of our system, where the incumbent government can call election at any time with very little, a very narrow window for the opposition forces to respond and get ready. So could it be that we have a general election when we're thinking it's a by-election, or would it just be a by-election? Is anybody going to challenge the process? Because the list that will be used for that election is a old list that everybody has agreed is problematic. Can some action be taken to make sure that election is not held before October? What about all the folks that did not get to register as new voters while that reconfirmation was going on? That was shut down for almost a year. Has the government done anything? Has the Electoral Commission done anything to reach out to those people to encourage them so that they could catch up, for letting them down and restricting their constitutional right to be able to vote? There's so much going on in that Rosenhoff constituency, and then there's so much going on within the United Workers' Party. And so, with that, I want to say that apologize on behalf of both Mr. Duran and Timothy Davidson. Timothy, they both had challenges with the internet, and so we have to reschedule them. Promise you that we're going to bring them back soon. All right. So, folks, I hope the discussion I gave you something to think about. Let us see. We will have a conversation, and I'll get you to tell me what is your impression of how Dr. Fontaine has been able to navigate this turbulence, political turbulence, and do you think that he has successful? Maybe this is the middle of June, so probably in August. By then, everything you should, we should see some development. So maybe we get the month of July, and sometime in August we'll come back and discuss and discuss what we what we think happened. So Viva Mamo said on point, the baton was not well passed, but it was constitutionally passed and accepted after some difficulty, but still not in full control. Added to this, the track is messy with garbage and debris and obstacles, most of which are placed by members of the same team. Viva, as usual, I could not say it as well as you said it. There's so much for Dr. Fontaine to navigate and sidestep and kick out of the way and get the, if there's garbage and obstacles, get it out of the way, put it where it belongs in the labas. But as I said, we look, all eyes, all ears are on Dr. Fontaine to see how he navigates, because these challenges can strengthen him if he comes out on the other side in full control and with a clear vision and philosophy that is well communicated to the supporters. Or it can be the demise where it continues to vacillate and so on, and we still stay modeled. Before I go, what do you guys think about the address that the leader made some time ago? Some people think that he did not address the actual issues that he was supposed to address. Once upon a time, I hated the word resilience because everything we were talking about in Dominica was Dominica, and Dominicans are resilient. In the meantime, we're building apartment buildings in rivers. We taking up playgrounds for youth and putting apartment buildings on there. We were mining stones out of our rivers, and so much was going on, and that affected the environment negatively, while we proclaim that we are resilient. Well, the new buzzword is the olive branch, and so the main part of Dr. Fontaine's speech was that he was extending an olive branch. And there are some of us who thinks that sometimes you need a hammer, not an olive branch, or a hatchet, not an olive branch. But again, as I said, it has to be Dr. Fontaine and his philosophy and his style that has to prevail, because he is the leader, and this opportunity that exists right now is going to prove whether he will rise or whether he's going to stay flat and lackluster. So, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. Again, on behalf of Loftus Duran and Davidson Timothy, I apologize that they had issues, and Loftus couldn't stay for the entire interview, and Davidson could not even get on. But I hope I was able to fill the gap and talk about contemporary issues that's going on. Our eyes are on Rosa North. Our eyes are on the candidate, the potential candidate that the party will field. Our eyes are on the United Progressive Party, the the United Workers Party, Team Unity Dominica, the Freedom Party. Hopefully, we see a new revival of the Freedom Party, because now the leader, the interim leader, has resigned. So, is there an opportunity for the Freedom Party to rise and try to grasp some of its former greatness? I think there's good potential there, because there are so many people who have good memories of the Freedom Party the last time that they were in government, that if they can really harness that goodwill, that there's an opportunity for them to become a participant, a player on the opposition forces that would challenge the Labour Party, because I think that is what is required for those opposition parties, political and civic, to come together and galvanize a movement that will inspire Dominicans to go and get re-registered, reconfirmed on the list, and to vote and to really bring a result in the next election that sees the back of the Dominican Labour Party. Last thing before I go, did you guys hear the press conference? Is not just me? Did I hear that the Prime Minister was advocating for Dominica to be a one-party state? I heard some. That's what I interpreted from what he said. That a country like Dominica doesn't need to waste time. I'm paraphrasing on having so many parties. What if he had his way? What he would do is go to Parliament and pass a development plan that would run the country, and then that would stay in place until you come back to Parliament and pass another one, and that the aspiration to replace him and the Labour Party in government is not something that is viable or desirable. Um, did you hear that? If you didn't hear it, go listen to it. I think our Prime Minister was openly advocating for Dominica to become a one party state. So, before I continue and we're here till 10 o'clock, I'm going to say good night, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers uh, on Sunday when it comes around. Uh, Men's health is June, so make sure you make an appointment to go check your health, check your prostate, do colonoscopy, endoscopy, you check your blood pressure, see what you can do to manage your blood sugar levels and on all of that. So, folks, I am saying good night and I'm saying thank you for staying with me throughout the hour. I hope I did justice to Loftus and Davidson for filling in for them. I really appreciate you. Good night, everyone.